Hi, welcome to part 2 of Arthrokinematics. I want to make a point real quick that this is not scripted at all. You could probably tell pretty easy that I'm kind of just winging it. But if you watch the first part, I'm just going to screen share and show. Goodness. Screen share. You'll remember that we went over the role. We talked about all the different roles that you can experience in arthrokinematics: anterior, posterior, superior, inferior, medial, and lateral. And we talked about movements that you can associate it with. I want to add one last thing to finding the role. Stop screen sharing. With anterior and posterior roles, I talked about how flexion is always an anterior roll, except for the knee because it's backwards. I just want to clarify, you have your ankle, right? The two movements in the sagittal plane at the ankle are plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. I just want to clarify that you would treat dorsiflexion just like any other flexion movement. Dorsiflexion is also an anterior roll. Plantar flexion is always going to be a posterior roll. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, finding the slide glide. So the reason we find the roll first is because the slide glide, you only have two options. It can either be the same as the roll or opposite of the roll. So for example, with shoulder flexion, we already talked about how if you do shoulder flexion or any other kind of flexion movement besides the knee, it's going to be an anterior roll. So your slide glide, I already know right off the bat that if the roll is an anterior roll, then the slide glide can either only be anterior or posterior. It is impossible to have an anterior roll and then a superior slide glide. That just doesn't happen. And so with figuring out the slide glide, you need to get very good at visualizing different bony surfaces in the body for the upper and lower extremities, because you need to follow the rule that a convex bone moving on a concave is going to cause the slide glide to be the opposite. So I'm actually going to screen share again. Desktop screen share. Okay. So if you've written this down, if you got this chart down, time to find the slide. Convex, moving on concave is going to be the same. No, sorry. Opposite roll. And then concave moving on convex equals same roll. Same as the roll. Okay, so let's stop screen sharing. So the way I like to memorize it is, one, obviously just being able to picture the bones. So starting in the upper extremities, we'll start at the scapula, where the shoulder and the scapula meet. The scapula has the glenoid fossa, which is definitely a cave. I'm hesitant to draw pictures because I'm not very good at it. That's pretty bad. But right here at the scapula, glenoid fossa, definitely a cave. And then the humerus, it's a ball and socket joint. That's definitely convex. Moving down at the elbow, you got the ulna. Definite cave right here. Definite convex at the bottom of the humerus. You also have your radius, not as important. At the elbow, we come to the bottom. Radius is a lot bigger. And the radials meet up with the carpals. The radius meets up with the carpals. I don't like my picture very much. It's not good at all. But the way I like to memorize it is the scapula is concave. The humerus is double convex. The radius and the ulna are also double concave, and the carpals are convex. And then the lower extremities follow the exact same suit. The pelvis has the acetabulum, which is a concave. The femur is double convex. The tibia is double concave. And then the metatarsals at the bottom are, or the tarsal bones at the bottom are convex. So once you memorize that, you just have to pay attention to the exercise, the movement, what they're doing, and try and know what is moving on what, because that can change whether it's a open chain exercise or a closed chain exercise. But if you can memorize the anatomy, be able to visualize and picture what's going on and what's moving on what, you should be able to find the slide guide very easily.